Hello to you who are interested in learning the Python programming language. Thank you for being with me in another educational video of this popular programming language. Now our discussion ends here in the use of try except blocks, but in order to increase the readability of the codes that are written in such a procedural way, they should be moved into the function. This work is called refactoring. The fact that you can move the code you have into the function and use the functions is a way to increase the readability of the code. Always try to bind your code to functions for more readability. To do this, you move your code forward and define a function above the code. Actually, we need our previous sections codes here. I think it was that. Excuse me, it took a long time. So let me open it in a notebook and use the copy paste option like this. Okay, for this purpose we need an indentation here, and of course we need the phrase def password identification. Don't forget to put the parentheses and the colon. Okay. To improve readability, it is better to try to define the different tasks that are done inside each code as separate functions. Let's save this file as in the current working directory, actually, for more convenience, this chapter, and let's name it something like, for example, password identification function. Okay, let's save it. Okay, now run it. Okay, let's call the function. You can see that because the interpreter cannot try this code, so it enters into the except suite, which is related to file not found error, and it asks us a password. For example, let's consider 2530, and you can see that this phrase is printed on the screen. Let's call the function again, and you can see this time this phrase is printed. Okay, as I said just 1 or 2 minutes ago, to improve readability, it is better to try to define the different tasks that are done inside each code as separate function. So let's do it. Let's have another file. Okay, def. Let's import the JSON, of course, and then let's have a function named, for example, showing saved password. Okay, don't forget to put colon outside of parentheses, press enter, and you can see the indentation. Let's have a docstring here This function will show saved password. So this function shows saved passwords. Let's have a file name variable which is actually password.json. Okay, let's have a try except a suite. Let's have the command with open. The input argument will be the file name. Don't forget as a and column. Press enter. You will see the indentation. Let's assign the output of JSON.load to the password variable. Input arguments which is obligatory, necessary is F, and the keywords are not necessary actually. Let's define the except block which is related to the file not found error. Don't forget to put the colon, press enter, return none, for example, for now. Let's have the else suite, and inside it we want to the code returns us the password actually. Okay, now this is the function which shows a saved password. We need another function too for identification. Let's define another function which is name def, the keyword def, password identification. Let's restart the kernel. Okay. Put the parentheses. Don't forget to inside the column. Let's have a docstring this function identifies the entered password. Let's assign the value of output of calling the showing saved password function to the variable password. Let's have a if a conditional loop if password. Don't forget to put the column, press enter. Let's have a print F quotation your password was else. Let's assign the output of an input prompt to a variable password. Inside this we need a string, for example enter password. We want to ask the user to enter a password. Okay, and when it gets the password, it should create a file which is name should be the same password.json. Okay, and then we need another with open. Input argument should be the same file name, and we want to open this file and the write mode. Okay, let's have the same as if json.dump. Previously I said that this dump is for saving in files. We want to save this in this f object. These keywords are not necessary, and we need to have a print specified password by you. Specified password by you. Password. Okay, let's save this file into the current working directory, and let's name it separate functions passwords, for example, something like this. Okay, now let's run it. Let's call the password identification function, and you can see that the phrase which is printed here is your password was 2530, because when we call this function will call the showing saved password function, which is previously defined, and here we need a file name which is password.json. This file with the same name was available in our current working directory, since previously here this is available since previously when we run this function, which was password identification function file, we created such file. So the interpreter could enter the try block and open this file and load its content, assigned its content into the password variable, and finally in the else suite it returns to us. Actually, when we come to the file, come to the current working directory and delete this file, run the file again and call the password identification function again, you can see that this time because the file which is named password.json is not available in the current working directory, the interpreter could not enter to try except block, so it returned nothing for the calling as the result, as the output of calling showing saved password. So the password value is false here because none is has the false value in Python. So the interpreter enters the else block in the definition of a password identification function, and it asks us enter a password which we defined here in the command line which we wrote an input prompt. Actually, let's consider, for example, Ghazal 1993, for example. And you can see that after pressing enter, the interpreter create a file which is named password.json and open this file on the write mode and save my password into the file and print this phrase into the file. So let's call the password identification again, and you can see this time, because the password.json file is available in the current working directory, this phrase is printed on the screen. As I said before, considering that none is false, if the file is not found, the interpreter enters the else suite. We'll run the code, and you saw what happened. In this way, the readability of the code increases, but this password identification still does not work optimally. We want this password recognition to do two things. If there is a password, display the password, and if there is no password, run the function to get the password. That is, we want to move the part of receiving the password to a separate function. Let's have a new file. Let's restart this kernel. Okay, now we want to have the same showing saved password function definition here. So we need to copy paste these into this new file. And after that, we need another function definition, which is receiving new password. For example, we can name it something like this. Let's have docstring 2 here. This function receives new users. Remember how we could have some character like these in our strings, put a backslash and have the quotation. Okay, apostrophe actually. Users password. Okay. Similarly, we need another input prompt and a file name variable and a with open command. We need all of them here. Instead of this print command, we want to have the return password. And after that, we need something like this password identification function. We want to copy paste it, but we need to consider some differences here, some nuances actually. Here in the else suite, we do not need to have something like these here, because we did the same function above in the receiving a new password. Function, so we just call this new function. Let's save this new file into the current working directory too, and let's name it optimum password functions. Let's save it and then let's run it. Okay, here the indentations are extra. Let's run it again. Let's call the password identification, and you can see our password, which was Ghazal 19 and 93, is visible to us because the same password.json file is available in the current working directory. Let's delete this file and run the file again. We want to call the function, and you can see this time, because the interpreter cannot find the file, it wants us to enter our password. Let's examine what does the interpreter do. When we call the password identification function here, interpreter calls the showing saved password function. In the showing saved password function, it needs actually a file which name is password.json, because it cannot find such a file, so it cannot try this code, so it faces with the file not found error, and so return none. Because this is none in the continuous of the password identification function, the output of this if conditional loop is false, so the interpreter has to enter the else suite, so it calls the receiving a new password function. In the receiving new password function, there is an input prompt, and this is why the interpreter wants us to enter a password here. Let's consider for example 2850. And you can see that the phrase specified password by you is 25 and 50, which is wrote here, which we wrote here actually, is printed. Now again, if we call the password identification file, you can see that the phrase is your password was 2850, because this time the file is available in the current working directory. Okay, in this way we checked reading and writing in TXT files as well as working with JSON files in Python. We are done with these files. Actually, it was not bad if I decided to explain to you how to work with Excel files in Python too. However, since the modules prepared for this purpose no longer support tasks related to Excel files due to strong and effective available Python libraries nowadays, hence I decided not to bore you with such non-functional concepts. I will teach you very practical ways for working with Excel files in an upcoming lecture, because we are going to start advanced level of Python programming language education from next video. This is where the introductory training of Python programming language ends. We will go into more advanced topics in future videos. Stay tuned for more subtle and professional tips in the next videos. Have a nice day.